All right, Mr. Toran, you had something you wanted to bring to court's attention?
Yes, Your Honor. I draw the court's attention back to Ripley when we had the hearing on the search warrant issue, and during the cross-examination, it came to light that there had been some continued criminal investigation since the indictment from law enforcement officers, some searches that had taken place, and my understanding was, the court can correct me if I'm wrong.
I told them to tell you what they were and when they were. I told to tell you what they searched for and when. I told them to tell you what they've done since then. Anyway,
that's right. Your Honor, in addition, they did in fact. Mr. Creekmore gave me in an email a text of where they searched, the locations. I think there were two locations, I believe. One here in Oxford and one down in Grenada. But I thought I was going to get a report or some information on who did those searches and stuff like that. So I did not get any of that. I'm not faulting Mr. Creekmore. He said he gave me what he had, but I'm going to ask the state to get somebody working on a more detailed, detailed. He has represented to me that there's no evidentiary value resulting from those searches.
I believe the testimony was at that time that they were continuing to search for a body and hadn't found it.
Right. Body and evidence.
But I would.
I'd just like to have.
I would like somebody from the state to be working on find out what agency has performed searches, where they were searching for, and where they were searching at, and what they were searching for, and what if anything's been found.
And if I don't think they've done anything else other than those two things, according to Mr. Creek.
I'm going to ask. I'm going to direct that be done. Okay. Before we bring the jury in, I think it's going to. I don't know who the next witness is, but sometime probably today or tomorrow, there's going to be, I suspect, law enforcement witnesses that we took up late after the jury had been released yesterday about the procedure when the defense was cross-examining those witnesses, particularly about crime lab submissions and the returns from those submissions, and generally what was not found instead of what was found. And I when I sat out there and set up here, it was judges handled it different. About once I'm going to allow you to cross-examine the witnesses about what was and was not found based on a crime lab report, but whether ultimately that crime lab report will be able to be admitted into evidence to go back to the jury or not. Judges handle it both ways back when I was out there and stood up here, and I'd like to know what the right answer is. So if y'all want to get to somebody spinning the wheel trying to figure out the correct answer to that question, I would like to know that answer anyway. All right. Who would the state? Let's go. Everybody ready? If everybody's ready, show the jury in. I do know it's 11:32. Time has gotten away from me this morning. I didn't realize it's that late. How long a witness you got, Mr. Creekmore?
We'll have to take a break during his testimony.
All right, we'll go till somebody rings the lunch bell. Whenever lunch gets delivered, let us know, and we'll take a break shortly thereafter. I don't want y'all eating cold beans if you haven't eaten beans for lunch. We want it to be hot. Who would you call as your next witness?
Shane Fortner.
Shane Fortner, somebody bring Mr. Fortner.
May I
May
proceed?
proceed.
Tell us who you are.
I'm Shane Fortner,
All right, what do you do?
the Emergency Management Director for the City of Oxford.
All right, what is that? What are your duties and responsibilities?
Duties and responsibility are to keep up with anything weather-related, respond to any natural disasters or man-made disasters in the City of Oxford.
All right, how long you been doing that?
A little over 2 years.
Okay. Prior to that position, what were you doing?
I was the lieutenant for the Oxford Police Department Criminal Investigation Division.
All right. Back in July of 2022, what was your title with Oxford Police Department?
A lieutenant.
All right. So how long were you lieutenant?
Between a year and 2 years. I'm not sure exactly how long.
About 2 years.
Yes, sir.
And just tell the jury what your duties and responsibilities as lieutenant at OPD entail.
So my role was to supervise the Criminal Investigation Division, manage the budget for that division, also the personnel, and any active investigations that would go on, I would be involved with.
All right. I want to direct your attention to July of 2022.
Okay.
When did you first become aware of a missing person involving Jay Lee?
I was first advised of this on July 10th. I became aware of Mr. Jimmie J. Lee missing from the University Police Department, or from Ole Miss, and it was an investigation by the University Police Department.
Okay. And how would you have been made aware?
I don't remember exactly how I was made aware, but after I reached out to Captain Jane Mahan with the University Police Department and offered any assistance they may need.
All right. Was she over that part of the UPD's investigation?
Yes, at that time, I believe she was the captain over investigations.
All right. So you reached out to her and offered any assistance, resources from OPD.
Yes, sir.
What happened after that?
So later on that day, I reached back out to her just to see if they still needed assistance. She had then informed me that they believed the student was off campus. So at that point in time, we discussed OPD getting involved. So I reached out to Detective Ryan Baker and Detective Mike Burks and asked them to respond to the University Police Department to meet with their investigations and get a brief on the case.
All right. They got briefed by UPD. They report back to you?
Yes, sir. I went to the Criminal Investigation Division that night and waited for Oxford Police Department and waited on them to return, and they briefed me once they returned on what they found out.
Okay. All right. So July 10th, you're notified. What happened the next day? You sent the two investigators over there, Mike Burks and Ryan Baker?
Yes, sir. So the next day, July 11th, Oxford PD and University PD investigators met at the Oxford Police Department Criminal Investigation Division at 10 Industrial Park Drive, and both departments briefed on the case.
All right. Now, what was going on with you at that time?
At that time, I actually, on the 10th, had started becoming sick, so I did not go to engage with anybody. Tried to stay away on the 11th while they actually briefed out in the bullpen area. I stayed in my office not to pass on any sickness I may have.
Thought you might be contagious, so you
I did.
limited your contact?
Say it one more time, sir.
You thought you might be contagious, so you limited your contact with the
Absolutely. Yes.
investigators. But that was between UPD and OPD.
Yes, sir.
All right. And at the time, they knew that Jay Lee was missing. And had they gathered the footage from Campus Walk Apartments where Jay Lee lived?
Yes, sir. I believe they had.
All right. So you were aware that they knew that he had left the apartment in the
Yes, sir.
early morning hours of July 8th, 2022.
Yes, sir.
Do you know approximately what time that was that showed Jay Lee leaving the apartment? And I represent to you that it's already in evidence.
I don't know the exact time. I do know he comes back to his apartment, from what I recall, and then he leaves. I'm not sure of the exact times, no, sir.
Approximately 5:58 a.m.
Yes, sir.
Does that sound about
That
right?
would sound about right.
Okay. Yeah, I like that there. That's fine. All right. What happened after that?
Later on July 11th, I went to seek medical treatment to see what was wrong. Ended up coming down with the flu and had to leave, take leave of absence.
Leave of absence. You were out of commission for several days.
Yeah, the rest of that week, yes, sir.
The rest of that week, were you still being updated on any developments?
Yes, sir, I was.
All right. And then when you reported back for duty, what happened personally for you?
So when I returned back on July 20th to the Oxford Police Department Criminal Investigation Division, and was updated on the case, and then more development started to occur at that time.
All right. So when you reported back, what happened?
So on July 20th, detectives were able to get into the Snapchat information for Jay Lee and recover that data, and were able to view messages between Jay Lee and a red eye _24.
Okay. Now, when you say investigators, we've heard testimony from Ben Douglas. Was he working with your investigator, Ryan Baker, on that social media and the access that they had through the university's passwords for Jay Lee?
Yes, he was. Both of them were actively working on this.
All right. Were you aware that Ben Douglas had actually gained access to Jay Lee's personal accounts?
Yes, sir, I was.
All right. And that they were able to see some messages coming in on his Snapchat that came from a red eye _24.
Yes, sir. For one, I recall, they were able to see the messages coming in from red eye _24, but they were not able to see the messages that Jay Lee had sent.
And that was on July the 20th.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any other developments that day?
No, sir, none that I recall.
All right. What happened after that?
July 21st, we were able to determine that red eye _24 was in fact a male identified as Timothy Herrington.
And if you could just briefly describe to the jury your understanding of how they identified the account of red eye _24 as Tim Herrington.
So from my recollection, they were able to go through Google accounts and different variations of that to actually get back that red eye _24 was Tim Herrington. As far as the full process of how they did each step, I don't know how exactly each step goes.
All right, so within that, the conversations that they were observing in Jay Lee's Snapchat, what was the information contained in those messages significant?
It was because, as I stated previously, we could see what red eye _24 was sending. We didn't know what Jay Lee was sending, but what red eye was sending to Jay Lee was, in fact, asking this individual to come over.
All right, so were you aware during that time frame of July 8th to this point in time of July 22nd that UPD had sent out on social media publicly asking for information concerning Jay Lee.
Yes, yes.
All right. Were you aware at that time, July 22nd, that Khalid Fears had responded to that public request for information regarding Jay Lee?
Yes, sir. I was, in fact, aware that Khalid Fears had called in and talked to the University Police Department.
And if you could tell the jury why it was significant, the information that he provided in that tip to the information you saw in that red-eye conversation on Jay Lee's Snapchat.
Yes, sir. So the information that Khalid Fears provided officers was that he was speaking.
It's already been gone through twice already. He didn't obtain this, and he'll just summarize it and provide that information. I don't want to get involved in a situation where we'll have 2 or 3 different versions of what occurred.
I'm gonna let him, let the state have some leeway in bringing us up to speed on where we were on everything. So I'm gonna deny objection just at this time. The floor is open if you want, if that we get too far, okay?
Yes, sir.
Just briefly describe for the jury the significance of those 2 pieces of information, the tip from Khalid Fears and the red-eye messages that were on Jay Lee's Snapchat.
Yes, sir. So Mr. Fears reached out and he was stated that he had was speaking with Jay Lee over the phone the morning of the 8th, and he was going back to see someone that he had previously been in going back to see someone he had previously met earlier. And so also Mr. Fears made mention that they were in some type of argument, and Mr. Fears knew that when he was talking to Jay Lee, that he got into his car and drove to a location. He just did not know where that location was.
All right. So the timing of the messages on red-eye Snapchat consistent with the timing of the call to Khalid Fears?
Yes, sir, they were.
And did you see the footage as part of your investigation of Jay Lee leaving his apartment?
Yes, sir. He leaves Campus Walk and drives off. Where his final destination was, we were not aware.
Do you recall whether he had his phone with him and appeared to be interacting with his phone on that video surveillance from Campus Walk?
Yes. As he's leaving, it appears that he's in a conversation with someone.
And was that time frame consistent with Khalid Fears and the red-eye Snapchat messages?
Yes, sir.
Time-wise?
Yes, sir.
Early morning hours of July 8th, 2022.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. So after the significant, the break of identifying red-eye _24 as Tim Herrington, what happened after that?
So officers were able to see, that a male running out of Molly Bar Trails on July 21st, and that same male we got video from Rockets, that same male coming down Molly Bar from the hill, and that same male getting into a white vehicle.
All right. Why? You're back from being sick. Why were investigators with the Oxford Police Department looking at video footage from Molly Bar Trails?
So they were looking at video of footage from Molly Bar Trails because Jay Lee's car enters the complex. So they were reviewing footage to see if they see anything that would give them a lead in the next step.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't hear all of your response.
Yes, sir.
What did you say?
We were looking at video of Molly Bar Trails because Jimmy J. Lee's car went into Molly Bar Trails. So we were reviewing footage after that car went into Molly Bar Trails to determine.
How did you know Jay Lee's car was at Molly Bar Trails?
Because we see video of it entering the
Now,
car.
before that, before you had video, I think early on,
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, it's his witness, and you leave him on this.
I don't think he's leading him out. He's just rephrasing his question. Go
prior,
ahead.
thank you, Alan. Prior to having video footage of Jay Lee's car, how did OPD know that Jay Lee's car was at Molly Bar Trails?
Because we were informed that it was towed by bandit towing from Molly Bar Trails.
All right. And what day was it towed?
I don't exactly know the exact date, but I'm gonna refer to my notes, see if I can find it.
Your Honor, for the record, I don't have objection to that testimony. I thought it was.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to hand you what's already been received into evidence. Have you ever seen that exhibit 13? Is that 13? Exhibit 13. Have you seen that before?
Yes, sir, I have.
And is that the receipt from Bandit Towing where they towed the Jay Lee's vehicle?
Yes, sir, bandit towing's right here in the top left corner notated.
All right. And the date on that?
The date on this is July the 8th, 2022 at 1:50 p.m.
Okay. So, you know Jay Lee's car is there. The footage that Oxford Police Department was looking at Molly Bar Trails was from what date?
Of July the 8th.
Okay. All right. So, OPD has gathered all that footage and is looking through that. About how long did your investigators look through footage from Molly Bar Trails?
I don't know the exact
July 8th, 2022.
From July 8th, 2022.
The footage from July 8th, 2022 at Molly Bar Trails.
So they reviewed the footage, and after the car comes in, they reviewed the footage, and then approximately 9 minutes later, individual seen running out of Molly Bar Trails.
Okay. Was that significant?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Was it significant? Because of its significance, what did y'all do?
We watched the male as he got to Molly Bar Road, and then were able to determine that he turned right on Molly Bar Road, and then knowing that Rocket's gas station was down from there, we went down there and retrieved video footage.
All right. And from that footage, what did you observe?
We observed that same individual come through the intersection of Molly Bar Road and McElroy Road. He goes past the gas station behind what appears to be an 18-wheeler trailer, and then a white car that was going the same direction pulled into the gas station. That individual that was seen running out of Molly Bar Trails and down Molly Bar Road then gets into that white vehicle.
All right. What did you do after you identified that white vehicle?
So,
how did you identify that white vehicle?
So we looked at the car, zoomed in, tried to see if we found any descriptors on the car. The University Police Department was actually able to find that car later on. They're able to locate that car on July 22nd.
Okay. How did they locate that car?
It was parked at, they located it through, once they found the description of the car, they located a similar vehicle at Campus Walk.
Okay. All right. Did you say that it had a university sticker on it?
It had a Ole Miss tag and a university student decal on it.
All right. And were y'all able to find sufficient information from that?
We were able to match up the car from Rocket's video to the car that was seen in Campus Walk. At that point in time, we took the tag number of that car and put it in our report management system, and were able to identify that a traffic stop had occurred with that car on July 8th, shortly after the male seen him running out of Molly Bar Trails gets into that white car. And so we went into our, the Oxford Police Department Axon evidence viewer to see the body cam footage of the officer that made that traffic stop. Once we reviewed the footage of that traffic stop, we were able to identify the driver as Keziah Carter, and the same male seen running out of Molly Bar Trails, running down Molly Bar Road that gets into that white car was seen in the passenger seat of that vehicle.
All right. So after that point, y'all were looking for Keziah Carter.
Yes, sir.
You're looking, can you describe for the jury how y'all were looking for Keziah Carter, and did you find him?
Yes, sir, we did. We were able to locate Keziah Carter. Once we located him, we brought him down to the Criminal Investigation Division, where he spoke to myself and Detective Baker. Keziah Carter, we showed him footage and asked him about, who the individual was that he picked up, and he identified that individual as Tim Herrington.
All right. So the day before, you had connected Red Eye _24 to Tim Herrington.
Yes, sir.
All right. And then how long was it from then until Keziah Carter, you're interviewing him, and he says the individual that was in the passenger seat with me was Tim Herrington?
It was the very next day.
All right. Do you know how many hours that was?
I don't know the actual hours. I would approximately put it in between 15 and 20 hours.
Okay. Now, at the time that you had connected Red Eye _24 with Tim Herrington, had you made a decision to go speak to Tim Herrington?
No, sir.
All right. But then after Keziah Carter identifies the person in that vehicle with him that we see on the Rockets video, what did you decide to do?
It was time to talk to Tim Herrington.
Your Honor, may we approach?
Okay, I'm on Kevin and being Mr. Creekmore, how about that? And Mr. Horan. The media a couple of days ago, and I beat around and hadn't got around to it, has asked some of these videos and things that have already been introduced into the evidence that they'll be allowed to copy. They indicated Mr. Creekmore had no objection to that. Can you hear me?
To access to what's...
To access to what's been introduced in evidence.
I didn't have an objection because, in my opinion, that's public.
It's unless somebody raises objection now, I'm going to allow them at a break to do something to copy that. And if nobody has an objection, Mr. Jeremy Rainey with the DA's office has been sort of our unofficial technology man on these videos and things like that. I would, if no one has any objection, I'm going to let him oversee the copying of that. Mr. Rainey, you said they provided you some kind of hard drive or something you could download it onto. I want you to be in charge of that. Instead of them handling the documents and giving them back, you just be in charge of copying and returning them and returning the exhibits to the court reporter, okay? All right. All right. Mr. Horan, is there going to be anything we need to take up before the jury comes back in?
Yes, sir. We need to make our official record as the court's previous ruling on search warrants
statements.
Okay, yes, we have, it's gonna take a minute. Ricky, if you would tell the jury that, we're gonna be just a little while, but, did I believe at some point, let me back up here and bring us up to speed. Last Monday, we had a hearing on the suppression of the search warrants of Mr. Herrington's apartment, and I believe his laptop and phone and such as that. During the court, and I denied the motion to suppress those search warrants. During the time of that search warrant, there became a Miranda issue, and I believe at the conclusion of that, I asked to view what was Exhibit 4 to that hearing on Monday, the video in its entirety. I carried it home with me, viewed the video in the entirety, and contact y'all and let you know what the ruling was. I believe that I announced into a record at some point what that ruling was. There's been no written order found, because it's been bam, 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 and but I believe that I have stated in the record my reasoning for my findings. If I have, I don't want to do it again, because my memory would have been better. Well, my memory would have been better at that time than it would at this time, and I would rely on that my statement into the record as to why I ruled the way I did. Can somebody refresh my memory? Did I make a record of that?
You did make a record, and I think you put it on the record again, acknowledging what the ruling was.
All right. Prior to me making that decision, this was all over the Thanksgiving holidays. I asked, each side submitted me some documents by text message and emails, letters of what they think, and some arguments in writing that I considered in that. And I asked both parties to anything they wished to be considered, made a part of the record, for y'all to make that a part of the record, because I did consider that in my decision making. It's your own, at this point, it's your own fault if you hadn't anyway. So
Now, the DA's office filed a written response on letterhead that was sent to the parties, Your Honor, and Brooke. And I did not copy the file on that. Okay.
I would like anything that was submitted to the court to help the court in making its decision be made a part of the court file, and I have repeatedly told the parties that I'll give you an opportunity to make a record, because most of what we done was not on the record, and now it'd be as good a time as any to each side make a brief statement as to what their objection was in response thereto. Okay.
Your Honor, Mr. Dagnall's going to argue or reiterate our position that I believe that we put in the record in Ripley.
I don't know that it. I think it might have been, but little bit. But I'll give you opportunity to expand on that today.
Yes, Your Honor. I drafted a motion in limine, and I probably will need to talk about this afterwards. I just want the court to be aware of the fact, and the state to be aware of the fact that I drafted a motion in limine, did not file it as to the actual statement that I anticipate that the state will attempt to introduce includes a portion.
You talking about the pre-handcuff statements or what?
Video.
The pre-hand. The video
Down
of
the
the
station.
pre-handcuff statements?
No, Your Honor, the video of the custodial interrogation at the police department or wherever they took it.
After that, I have not seen that video.
Okay. Well,
Do what?
Oh, okay.
no,
I've
we didn't get
only
that.
seen the video at the department. It's the only video I've seen with Mr. Herrington Bond. I've made no rulings on
That.
any police department interrogation.
I just want to let the court know, should the court find that that interrogation is admissible, which I don't represent, there would be any other ruling on that statement.
I've not been asked to, but if I will, okay, go ahead.
The video has a portion of it at the conclusion where Mr. Herrington invokes his right to counsel. The motion in limine would be to redact that portion.
That will, if the rest of it comes in, that is generally redactable anyway. I haven't making no rulings on it, but if I do let the rest of it in,
Information that fears provided to them to Mr. Harrington, you've already ruled that's admissible. But to the extent that that statement comes in, we would object to that portion of it. I don't expect it to be redacted based on the court's previous rulings. I just want to object to that part of it, if that makes
okay.
sense.
My
My only redaction is going to be the invocation of the right to counsel.
All right, that will be granted if it becomes relevant, okay? But have you made all the record you want to on the Miranda issue, or go ahead, Mr. Dagnall.
Yes, Judge. Clearly, Mr. Herrington was not free to go. He was, at that point, considered the only real suspect being investigated in this case. They had already had officers, aside from the two that were present during the course of the interview, there were multiple officers stationed around the apartment complex, down at the vehicle, in the stairwell, and on the opposite side of the stairwell. Clearly, Mr. Herrington would not have been free to go to gather his devices, hop into his vehicle, and leave based on totality of what was about to happen, despite the fact that it hadn't happened at that time. In spite of that argument, in addition to that argument, Judge, the specific request that was made of Mr. Herrington at the time of that interview, it occurred approximately at noon on July 22nd, 2024, during the course of 2022, during the course of that video that we watched, in about a 15-minute time frame during that interview. During that time, Detective Fortner explicitly told Mr. Harrington that the purpose of their investigation was to try and talk to people who may have had some of the last connections with Ms. J. Lee, and that they were just trying to cross people off their list, get a little statement from them, and that in conjunction with that, they were asking to view text message or other message-related phone data, messages and things like that, with the exact language that he used, text messages or anything like that from around the time frame he went missing, referring to J. Lee going missing sometime in the early morning of July 8th, 2022. That was a very limited request and a limited scope of what it is the officers were asking at that time. Admittedly, Mr. Harrington gave them permission to view his phone based on the limited request that was asked of him by the officers at the
Let me
scene.
interrupt you just 1 second anyway, or direct this to the state. Has the state, or doesn't take a state attempt to introduce evidence or testimony outside that time frame, around from other than what time they're around that Mr. Harrington went missing? does that make any sense? He's made a distinction about, he's asked for information around the time Mr. Herrington went missing. Is there anything before that the state intends to introduce?
I don't know right off the top of my head.
Right.
There may be, but I will say this, as part of the response to the motion, in that phone dump, Mr. Harrington provides.
I'm gonna give you chalk for that, but I just had a very,
That was outside the time scope.
okay, go ahead. All right, go ahead.
And Judge, that's exactly correct. And that was not part of the hearing. I believe that was supplemented in some of the emails that were done after the fact. Because then the state, rather than making the argument that they had kind of a twofold argument, Judge, that first, and I believe that what the court's ruling was that Mr. Harrington gave them complete and unfettered consent to the entire contents of his phone. And that's just not supported by the video evidence of the interrogation, because it was a very clearly limited request for a limited scope to view those records in a limited time frame. And the other materials that were found on the phone were not considered within this time frame that they were searching at the time. Then after that, aside from the argument that the consent was a complete unfettered consent to the full contents of the phone, the state also argued that because, and I believe this was not on the record, this was the supplementary portion, is that because there was a text message contained somewhere else in the phone during a different unrelated time frame from the request that was made of him at that time, he had sent the password to his computer so that the contents of the computer would then fall under the inevitable disclosure doctrine. This is an important distinction and argument because, as it was clear on the video, and it's clear by the issuance of the search warrant for the computer that did not exist until the 25th of July, based on the body camera footage that has been reviewed, you can clearly see an officer, I believe who was with ABC, typing away, accessing this computer after Mr. Harrington had been placed in handcuffs and was directed to turn over his passwords after being told that they had a search warrant for them. As far as the inevitable discovery goes, Judge, it's clearly not inevitable discovery as to the password, because during the course of that hearing, Detective Baker put on testimony that the evidence that they got by obtaining his passcodes was incriminating, and that it was paramount to their investigation, because without the passwords, it would have taken them years to break into the computer using whatever extrapolation or extraction methods that they would ordinarily introduce. His own testimony showed that they had to have the passwords for the phone and the laptop that's recorded. That was the testimony that was provided during the course of this hearing on the 25th in Ripley. So the fact that they're making the argument on the inevitable discovery doctrine is not applicable here, but it's still entirely not applicable because they had to have, our position is they had to have the search warrants to get into the full contents of either device, because the consent, which we do admit that Mr. Harrington gave consent during his initial interview, but it was to a very specific, limited request for access to messages and things like that from the time period that Jay Lee was missing. So, Judge, we submit that any consent for a purpose to extend beyond that would have required a search warrant to go into them as to the phone records and the computer. And Judge, this is a copy of the email supplementation that I provided on behalf of the defendant, and I'd offer to add that into the record as far as it went to the hearing we had on the 25th, Judge.
Do y'all want this made an exhibit to this, the next number?
Hearing, that these be exhibits to supplement that hearing and not this trial.
That would make more sense. Working it out in practicality, I'm gonna do both.
Yes, Judge.
How about we do both?
Abundance of caution is always better.
Abundance, too much caution is better than, let me,
Thank you, Your Honor.
all right. Does either party, I've got two November 26, one from Horan and one from the district attorney's office. There's no objection. I'm going to ask that these be made. The Horan is the I think my list of exhibits is on my desk back there. The Horan will be made as a next numbered exhibit for ID only in this trial, and then the state's supplement will be made as the following exhibit. And I'm going to ask you were there last Monday. Can you find some way to make these as exhibits to that as well?
If I mark it like their next exhibit.
Can you put two stickers on them? All right. The Horan is going to be D54. I'm going to call it memo for Miranda of November 26. ID only. S55 is going to be memo from state 1126 Miranda. I remember the video that y'all asked me to look at was exhibit number 4. This may well be 5 and 6, but you'll just determine what the.
D7
Her, would you pass these down to hers? All right, I'll hear from the state.
As far as we disagree with characterization that it was for a limited time frame, and if the court recalls from the interview with Tim Herrington at the apartment on the 22nd, he opens his phone up and hands it to them. To me, that act is even more important than verbal. If you've got an iPhone today and you open it up and hand it to somebody, you're handing them everything. And included on that phone were passwords.
All right, I'm going to, court has previously announced this ruling. The video does, I have made a ruling before that once Mr. Herrington was placed in handcuffs, that was his statements after that time were custodial interrogation. Any statements he made prior to being placed in handcuffs were non-custodial interrogation. The arguments about the number of officers, show of force, and things like that, the video will show that the officers went to great effort, including on the video making other officers leave and get out of sight before they went into Mr. Herrington's apartment. The blinds were closed. There was no indication or any way, the court doesn't feel any way that Mr. Herrington knew that there was any officer involved in his questioning other than the two officers there. And it was pretty much one officer doing all the talking. It was very low-key, congenial, consensual that the court feels. That it was non-custodial interrogation. I think whether a person is in custody or not in custody, I think would be in the mind of the detainee or thereof, and I don't see anything that indicated to Mr. Herrington that he was in custody at that time. And any statements he made prior to being put in handcuffs were non-custodial. Mr. Herrington did open his cell phone and hand it to the officers and say, "Here." Court believes that when he opened his phone and said, "Here," and the officer spent many minutes looking at it, that he had consented to the search of his phone. There was no indication that he ever withdrew that consent from the search of his phone. Testimony has been that once that phone was accessed, first off, that the phone and the laptop were linked. Getting into one would get you into the other, and also the password for the computer was contained in the phone, and that would have led to its discovery, and that's going to be the court's ruling that there has that those not suppressing the contents of the phone or the computer, and I am finding that any statement made prior to Mr. Herrington being placed in handcuffs were non-custodial, and if offered to be admitted, I'll admit them. Is that something you're going to take up with this officer or at this time or not?
Sorry?
Is the interview with Mr. Herrington at his apartment something that you're taking up with this officer today or not? All right. That's court's ruling. I think everybody's made their record. Time will tell if I'm right or wrong, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Give me about a 2-minute break and I'll be right back.
I think Mr. Overhand brought up some things about a motion in limine that pertains to the interview at CID, the custodial.
Yes, I have ruled that the invocation of Mr. Herrington, I have not ruled on the admissibility of that document, of that video. I would say that in the event that I do admit that, if there's proper Miranda warnings given and that kind of thing, and if there's invocation of the attorney-client right to an attorney, that portion, his request for an attorney will be stricken anyway. We won't be able to ask that.
I would just point out for the court that there's full implications to that. This is the witness we were going to proffer that evidence through. We had the entire interview ready to be introduced.
Get ready to start.
And it would have, I just want to point out that would have been more efficient had it been brought up before the lunch hour, so we wouldn't be waiting on the exhibit.
We ran past efficiency about 9:15 on Tuesday morning. The court.
Do you understand?
I understand.
I'm waiting on that evidence to be modified pursuant to the court's order about, 10 minutes ago.
I do apologize. I really just thought about it. But I had a written motion drafted that I was hoping to bring up before.
Whenever the motion was brought, whether it's contemporaneous or not, that's all right. But I think the law is pretty clear that should be redacted from the video whenever it takes place. And
I will ask the court's instruction on when that jump drive was brought to me. I'm assuming while I'm in the middle of my examination, continued examination with Mr. Fortman, that they'll need an
y'all, let's not. Once it's brought, I want somebody from Mr. Horan's office to get with somebody from the DA's office to say, "Hey, this one's good to go." That's how it extracted anyway. Okay.
John, I have a transcription of the statement, and I don't mind offering the transcription at the appropriate time if he wants to, ID or something to allow him.
At this point, get somebody, if you wish to introduced that video. I haven't ruled on its admissibility, but if you work on the assumption that it is admissible, get somebody to take in that portion of the interview. And I don't know if that's the end of the interview, middle of the interview, or what anyway. I don't have any way to know, but I just know that it's not admissible. All right, somebody get to work on that. I'm going to take a quick break and get talking back to this witness anyway. If everybody is ready, show the jury in. She must be in. Just knock on until ask Lynn to show the jury in, please. Oh, okay, he'll be back. We won't start without him.
Let's read them step up.
All right, yeah. All right, our witness is going to be right here, okay? About 3 o'clock, I'll be ready for a Coke. If y'all are too, y'all let me know, okay? All right, Mr. Fortner, you return to the witness stand and you remain under the same oath. And you may proceed with your examination.
All right, thank you, Hunter. All right. Before we took the break, we were talking about, I think, the developments from July 21st, 2022 and July 22nd, 2022 that resulted in a decision to go talk to Tim Herrington.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
And if you don't mind, just briefly tell the jury what those were.
So the decision resulted in the Snapchat messages that we were able to see from Red Eye 24. We couldn't, again, going back, we couldn't see what Jay Lee sent. Red Eye 24 was identified as Tim Herrington. We have a Jay Lee's car going into Molly Bar Trails. See a male run out of Molly Bar Trails. He runs down to Rockets gas station on Molly Bar Road, and then he's.
We just gear him back up after the lunch break. But, go ahead. Sort of like when you're watching TV, watching those thing on TV when they always give you just a little bit of what you had before you start back. So let's make it real brief anyway.
Real brief. You're about done, I think.
I was almost there. Yes. Male around Molly Bar Trails. He runs down to Rockets, where he's picked up by an individual later identified as Keziah Carter. Keziah Carter then, once we make contact with him, tells him that he picked up Tim Herrington and took him back to the Fayette place.
All right. So I believe on the morning of July 22nd, you get that information. With that information, what preparations did you make and why?
We, based on the information we had, again, going back to the Snapchat messages all the way up, identifying Tim Herrington, getting picked up in the car after seeing him running out of Molly Bar Trails where Jay Lee's car previously was, we wanted to make contact and talk to Tim Herrington. And some of the preparations made in advance of that was to prepare a search warrant for Tim Herrington's apartment.
Okay. So what did you do in that regard to try to get a search warrant for Tim Harrington's apartment?
So search warrant was typed up and taken before a judge and presented to him. The search warrant was signed while myself and Detective Baker went over to Lafayette Place. Once Detective Mike Burks returned to Lafayette Place and arrived in the parking lot, myself and Detective Baker went up to Mr. Harrington's apartment.
Prior to knocking on Tim Harrington's door, were you aware that the search warrant had been signed by the judge?
Yes, sir.
All right. At that point, just because you knew that you had a search warrant for that apartment, did that mean that you were going to execute that search warrant?
No, sir, it did not.
All right. Can you explain that to the jury?
Absolutely. Just because we had a search warrant for Mr. Harrington's apartment, our main goal was to go there and talk to him. Had we talked to Mr. Harrington and he provided information of the whereabouts of Jay Lee, or even if Mr. Jay Lee he let us in, I don't know, talk to him, Mr. Lee was sitting on the couch. Anything's possible as far as the explanation he could have given. So we did not intend to go there. We intended to go.
So, okay, I know, Court notes your objection for the record, anyway, by about previous reasons.
You were explaining to the jury that just because you had a search warrant didn't mean that you were going to execute the search warrant.
Absolutely not.
And can you, if you want to finish that for the jury?
Yes, like I said, we want to talk to Mr. Harrington. If Mr. Harrington had provided us information that would able to direct us with our investigation to locating and finding Mr. Jay Lee, that would have been sufficient for us. There's a lot of people we talked to over the course of this investigation that were able to point us in a direction one way or the other.
All right. Now, so yourself and Ryan Baker went to Tim Harrington's apartment, correct?
Yes, sir.
What time of day was it approximately?
It was approximately 12:36 p.m.
Was the entirety of that contact with Tim Harrington at his apartment at Lafayette Place on July 22nd, 2022 recorded?
Yes, it was.
All right. And I have this marked for identification. All right, this jump drive that I removed from this envelope, have you seen that before?
Yes.
Y'all approach right quick anyway. The court has found a portion of his custodial interrogation, a portion of his non-custodial interrogation, which would have been Exhibit 4 to our hearing from Monday of last week. Before we started playing, I wanted to make sure whether the parties were agreement for it all to be played pre-custodial and post-custodial interrogation.
Yes, Your Honor. I hope the court's not going to make me stand up and object again at the time of the.
Your objections have been well noted for the record. Anyway, if you don't mind at all playing through, we'll play it all the way through. But I want to be clear on that point before I can't unring a bell anyway.
Make sure there's no dogs in this video.
What's that?
We're going to make sure there's no animals in this video.
All right. When the jury comes back, I understand that other than the objection previously noted, that the video can be played in its entirety.
It can, Your Honor.
All right. Show the jury.
No, Your Honor. Hold on one second.
Okay.
Still checking.
Oh.
After that, it includes the search.
I don't care either way. I thought that, I'm trying to say.
Well,
All right. You have notes on this particular.
that's number we have
This is 19
since.
minutes. Is there anything that you don't want?
Where does the video end? Where does the video end?
Kind of our already standing objections.
All right.
It's S56.
Now, when the playing of the video, I think if we look at the start of the video and the end of the video, I think everybody will know what's in between, as long as you know the video doesn't run longer than somebody's anticipating anyway.
Well, they don't have any objection to the full thing. There's activity before contact with Tim Herrington, and there's activity after he's placed in handcuffs.
That's what they've said. They don't have any objection to that, but I want to make sure we know where the video starts. We're all agreement on that. I want to make sure somebody looks at the end of the video so that when everybody's agreeing, they know exactly what they're agreeing to. Because I've looked at the entire video, what I believe to be the entire video, but it appears that the video is shown the beginning of the video and the end of the video, and that's the beginning and the end that I saw. And I just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page about the beginning and the end of the video.
Yes, Judge, I do agree with the entirety of that video.
All right, this one. All right, I didn't want any surprises anyway, what I was trying to say. All right, if everybody's ready, let's show the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, jury, as your man knows, I'm quick to give a compliment, but I'm quick to call somebody out too. You know, this morning I was complimenting the clerk on his fine work on our shades anyway, but you know, I'm going to have to retract my compliments anyway. My sunshade's coming down anyway, but You may continue your examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Lieutenant Fortner, we were looking at Exhibit 56. The question to you was, have you reviewed the contents of that jump drive?
Yes, sir, I have.
Does it accurately depict the contact that you and Ryan Baker had with Tim Herrington on July 22nd, 2022?
Yes, sir, it does.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would ask that Exhibit 56 be received.
The objections have been noted for the record. The court's rulings are such that I am going to admit Exhibit 56 into your record.
All right, permission to publish.
You have it.
All right, where are you right there?
In front of Timothy Harrington's apartment.
All right, you knocked on the door? All right, announced your presence?
Yes.
All right. Now, you've already detailed sort of your background understanding of what your investigation showed.
Yes, sir.
At this point, does Tim Harrington know what you know about the case?
He doesn't know what I know about the case now.
All right, I'm going to stop it right there. Can you identify the person in the dark colored muscle shirt?
Yes, that's Tim Harrington.
All right, and then the other person in that image is who?
Myself.
All right, now, it appears that this is being recorded by a body cam,
Yes, sir.
and who's wearing that body cam?
Detective Ryan Baker.
All right. I just want to inquire from the court, is that audio, are
Not
you
the
able,
best.
are you able to hear that?
I can, but more post question, can the jury hear it anyway? Y'all hear it?
We good?
It's a little muffled, I guess, would be a good way to.
I do believe the audio system here is better, so if it becomes a problem, if the court wants to allow.
I'm on you listen, I'm gonna let you make your own decisions about where you play it anyway, okay?
Okay.
What's that now?
This one screen's not working.
We got one screen that's not working. let's try to get that going before we continue. Yep. We got one screen that's not working anyway. Working now? Well, that's all we're worried about now. All right, thank you. I'm gonna let you make your own decisions about where you wish to play it at, okay?
So you're going in did you identify why you were there, the purpose for talking to Tim Herrington?
Yes, sir.
And what was that?
We wanted to see if Tim Herrington could provide us with any information related to the Jaylee.
Missing person?
Yes.
And had you been doing that in the area?
Oh, yes. We've been around the city talking at different apartment complexes and
like I would say we were like best friends, and we were like, just, constant things like that. You ain't got no, sir, I haven't heard anything since. It's been I know, like, since he's been gone, I heard. Before he was gone.
All right. At that point, at 4:38, was that statement from Tim Herrington important to you?
it was.
What did he say?
He said he ain't seen him since he's been gone.
All right. Since he's been gone. Okay. And before he said, since he's been gone, what did he say?
So you ask your question again?
What did he say right before that?
I do not recall, sir.
All right, let's back it up just a few seconds.
No, sir, I haven't heard anything since. It's been I know, like, since he's been gone, I heard.
Since he's been gone, I haven't heard anything.
Yes.
Before he was gone, what's the last time we got that I saw?
All right. Had you, at this point, told him anything about a date that Jaylee went missing?
No, he just, no dates.
And so right there, just before 4:44, I'm going to replay that. His statement there about since he's been gone, and at this point, does that indicate to you that he knows when he went missing?
I abstain the objection.
I know, like, since he's been gone, I heard. So, before he was gone, what's the last time we got that I saw? I'm not sure when it was, but it was like.
He wasn't sure of the date, according to him at that time, but he did say that night.
That night, he specified that night.
I'll sustain the objection. Don't leave your witness.
Was he sure about the exact date here on the interview, according to him?
He said that night.
Okay.
I would say a couple of weeks ago, I'm not sure exactly. So we was like, we were here. Now, we were at least he came out and stopped by. And you right now, the people are talking, they're still people want something, or old friends, other people in class. So you're actually the first one that's going to say, yeah, I did see him. So, like, he came over by, so we were cool. So, like, we were just chilling. Like, he came by and stopped by, so we just chilling. So, we went back to his apartment. I don't sir. It was dark. I don't want to say wrong, but it was not. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're trying to bear it out and stuff like that. Yeah, he should have been parked. Like, he stopped by. You know, we talked about it. No, he stopped. I came outside. He wouldn't tell him. We talked and man, he just said, like, he regressed. I was trying to go out of town. So I'm here in one place, just standing, we just talking, like, talking. Yes, I'm talking. He just talking. No, just talking. So we just talking, because I'm here in one, so I'm like, I'm that's very good for me. And so I have a job there. That's why I said this, I'm in the process of moving. Yes, sir, you know. No, I just didn't remember. I saw him and that's why I was like, I didn't think, you know, I didn't like really believe my first time. I was like, I'm like,
All right, I'm gonna stop it there. What he's talking about is that night. And that's gonna be when the day that Jay Lee went missing, correct?
Yes, sir.
Had he said anything to you at this point about?
I'm gonna let him ask his question. Go ahead.
At this point, had Tim Herrington said anything about an early morning encounter with Jay Lee?
No, sir. All he kept saying was that night.
That night. Had Tim Herrington said anything about having Snapchat messages with Jay Lee in the early morning hours?
No, sir, he did not.
but I think it's a movement, like, you know, myself, so good, it's right here. Yeah, I personally, like I said, like, we were cool, but it wasn't like, I didn't call it perfect. Like, that was kind of fire, he was a fire person. Right, yeah.
All right. Now, right there, what information had you provided that you knew about your investigation?
That the vehicle had been found at Molly Bar Trails, and Mr. Jay Lee liked to dress as a female.
So going back to the car, what was the question that you asked?
Did he have any gut feeling on how that car ended up at Molly Bar Trails?
And his response was what?
No.
All right. And even though he said no, he doesn't have any idea, what did you know about Tim Herrington and Molly Bar Trails?
I knew that Tim Herrington ran out of Molly Bar Trails the morning of the 8th and went down to Rockets and got picked up by Josiah Carter and taken back, so I knew Tim Herrington was at Molly Bar Trails.
Okay.
Yeah, we were just cool, like me, I was just confused. It's like, I see everybody say, like, everybody, like, thanks for liking me. Cool person. So I didn't relate to a lot, and I just glad, you know, like everybody. Yeah.
to getting into how did you know he was going to come over, did you inquire as to whether he had, I mean, he agreed that he knew that he liked to dress fashionably.
Yes, sir.
Did you, what was his response to whether they had a more than just an acquaintance, friendship relationship?
He said he did not have any kind of sexual relationship with him.
All right, at this time, did you indicate to him that you knew what their messages were about on Snapchat? Okay.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I had something earlier, and so I started like, close that.
All right. What were y'all talking about here?
We were talking about where Jay Lee, if Tim did anything, where they met at, or how Jay Lee knew Tim was home, and how he could make. Did Jay Lee reach out to him and call him, or reach out any kind of other any kind of electronic device to know Tim was home? And he said he met Jay Lee earlier at either Walmart or Home Depot.
Sounds good.
So yeah, I saw him, and he was like, you know, I got you give up a lot. I was cool, you know, we shot out. No, sir. Other than like also in the drill, I'm at teach. That's like a outside
All right. Right there, if you were able to hear, y'all are talking about what?
Molly Bar Trails.
All right. Now, what was significant about his response?
He said Tim Herrington said he doesn't go over there much because they tow from over there.
Okay.
To me, that was significant because he knows the towing practices of that business and that complex.
All right. Was that additional information that he provided significant to you about Molly Bar Trails?
Oh, absolutely. Tim Herrington said he ain't been over there in a few months, but we were able to find video of him running out of the complex that morning on July 8th.
All right. Why was that important information to you right there? You saw him, he leaves, but he doesn't come back.
Yes. Asking Tim if he saw Jay Lee, which he said he did. He leaves, which Tim said he did. He doesn't come back, according to Tim. It was very important because Khalid Feeders already knew that he came back over there. He was going to meet somebody that had previously blocked him on some social device, and he was going back to meet somebody that he had met earlier in the night.
All right. And in canvassing people that were associated with Jay Lee, would you ask a question like, hey,
Being a witness, would you ask questions like this, that? I mean,
I'm going to ask you to rephrase your questions. I don't know exactly what it was going to be, so.
started out as a leading question.
Yes, started out that way. I bet it's going to end that way.
the questions that you were asking Tim, some are specific to information you know. Are some of the questions the same type of question you would ask other people?
Absolutely. Do you know Tim? Have you seen, do you know Jay Lee? Have you seen him anytime since July 8th? Those are standard questions that we would ask anybody trying to ascertain any information we can about where Jay Lee is.
Was one of those questions that you would ask, what do you think happened to him?
Absolutely. I think that's a very important question because everybody has a different opinion or thought or may know something. And we want to know what that is by asking, what do you think happened to someone? It may point us in a direction that leads us somewhere else. And hopefully what we were hoping for is the discovery of Jay Lee.
You said that dude out was saying he was like, out of there. I don't know, he's just like doing that kind of shit, somebody that he never went to that could be, that could be one, another could be, I don't know, like, personally.
All right. Did you hear his response to that question?
Yes, based on what you had told me, I'm not going to get it exactly word for word here. Could have went and had casual sex with somebody and they kidnapped him.
Okay. When you were canvassing, did anybody else have a response like that?
No, sir.
Was that significant to you?
Absolutely it was.
Why?
Looking at that statement after we interviewed Tim, not only at his apartment, but at CID later on, and after we continued with the investigation, I think what happened is Tim described what he did to Jay Lee.
All right. What was that last question?
Do you know if Jay Lee was going to talk to anybody?
And then right after that, you talk about, I think you make a statement about how Jay Lee's car got to Molly Bar Trails.
Yes, sir. Somebody took it over there, and we want to find out who that was.
And I think you told him there that Jay Lee didn't take his car to Molly Bar Trails.
Yes, sir.
Do you recall what his response was? You may play it?
I don't remember, sir.
Okay. Did he agree with that statement?
He did agree with that statement.
Like he was very different. That's all I could,
All right. For all intents and purposes, the interaction, interview with you, Brian Baker, and Tim Herrington at his apartment, is that basically it?
Yes, sir.
In its entirety?
Yes, sir.
And at that point, you said you're going to have to go call somebody.
Yes, sir.
Talk to the chief, I think is what you said.
I did.
And yeah, he was not aware that you had the search warrant. You told the jury that. Is that what you were going to talk about? Whether, where to go in the investigation from this point?
Oh, absolutely. It was important to go talk to Tim Herrington and find out what he knew. Again, he could have led us in another direction, and that would have been super helpful to us. But based on the information that he gave us, that we knew we could was not accurate. Going back to you saw him, he leaves, but he doesn't come back, and he hasn't been to Molly Bar Trails in a few months, but yet we got him running out on July 8th. We decided to move on and execute the search warrant.
All right, and did he ever enlighten you about any of, or give you any assurance that would explain the bits and pieces of evidence that you had already developed in your investigation?
No, sir.
So a decision was made to do what?
Execute the search warrant, detain Tim and take him to the Criminal Investigation Division for further questioning.
Now, if I can have this mark for ID.
Right, mark it,
Uh,
57.
Rights waiver.
Get as far as you can, Mr. Creekmore, and we'll,
No,
if we have to take a break on the other matter, we can.
thank you, Your Honor. Any objection? No objection to it.
We may be ready
I
for a
have
break
it.
then anyway.
Hand you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 57. Do you recognize that form?
Yes, sir, I do.
What kind of form is that?
It's the Miranda rights form that we use at the Oxford Police Department.
All right, so if you can, just explain what the Miranda warning is, as well as the waiver of rights for the jury.
Yes. So the Miranda warning, we want to inform an individual, such as Tim Herrington, of his right to remain silent. Anything he can or he says can be used against him in a court of law. We want him to understand all of that. He's got the right to an attorney if he can't afford one. The state will provide one for him. We want him to understand this entire top portion right here, and then the waiver of rights down below it is for him. I've read the statement of rights, I understand what my rights are. I'm willing to make a statement and answer questions. I do not want a lawyer at this time. I understand and know what I am doing. No promises or threats been made to me, and no pressure or coercion of any kind has been used against me. I understand that at any time I can exercise any of the above rights.
Is that standard for investigators to use when they're talking to a suspect?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, did you make a decision after the interview at the apartment around 12:30 on July 22nd, 2022, to take Mr. Herrington in custody down to CID?
Yes, sir. And then he was presented with this form.
Now, that entire contact between yourself and who else was with you? Brian Baker?
Detective Baker was, yes.
In the interview room, is that recorded?
Yes, sir, it is.
Was the portion where you went over the Miranda rights and the waiver included in that?
Yes, sir. And you can clearly see Mr. Herrington signed the paper.
All right, and do you recognize that exhibit as does that accurately depict that rights waiver signed by Tim Herrington?
Yes, sir. That is Tim Harrington's signature right there, and that is his printed name. And then below it, the first witness is myself, Shane Fortner. The second one is Ryan Baker, Detective, Oxford Police Department.
State would ask to be received.
All right, any objection? All right, rights waiver will be received is 57.
All right. Your Honor, can we approach just for a second?
You ain't got to
You know what,
play.
Your Honor?
You ain't got to play.
I can leave it away.
All right, we're gonna take a little break right here, whether need to or not, anyway, okay? And that's when you blame on. The let me talk, both of y'all. The jury has advised me that they're having a difficult time understanding the audio and wanting to know if the big screen can be turned around so they could hear better. And I'm going to authorize that. Sorry, guys.
And that's get that. You have the jump drive. All right. Your Honor, if I could have this marked for ID.
Do so.
All right, so at the conclusion of the interview at Lafayette Place, Tim Herrington's apartment on July 22nd, 2022, you put Mr. Herrington in custody and brought him to CID. That's not at the regular police department, is it?
No, sir, it's at 10 Industrial Park Drive, which is off of Highway 7 South.
You've got an interview room
Yes, sir, we do.
and with recording equipment,
Yes, sir, there's video and audio in that room.
and you went through Mr. Harrington's Miranda warnings and rights waiver.
Yes, we did, and after advising him of all that, he printed his name and signed acknowledging that he wished to speak to us.
And I believe we've already introduced that rights waiver into evidence. Correct? All right. Now, typically when you go over the Miranda warning, what their rights are and the waiver, do you pay attention to sort of their educational level and level of understanding?
Yes, sir. We want to check into that. Given that Mr. Herrington just told me he graduated from Ole Miss, I knew he was a college graduate. His education level should have been where he could understand it. But as I'm advising him of his Miranda warnings, I'm asking him, "Do you understand this top part? Do you understand this bottom part?" And I also told Mr. Herrington, if at any point you understand something, ask me a question. I'll be happy to explain to you because I want him to understand what I'm reading him.
Did he acknowledge that he understood?
Yes, sir.
And did he voluntarily waive those rights?
Yes, sir.
After being brought from his apartment to CID and put into the interview room?
Yes, sir. He
All right.
signed the form and printed his name, and we signed as witnesses.
Now, I placed a envelope there. Do you recognize it and the contents?
It says Sheldon or S. Harrington apartment interview.
Do you recognize it?
Yes.
There's a jump drive in there with the evidence sticker S58. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Have you reviewed the contents of that exhibit?
Yes.
Do they accurately depict the interview at CID between yourself, Ryan Baker, and Tim Perry?
Yes, sir.
All right, Your Honor, the state would ask that this be received into evidence subject to ruling of the court.
Any objection? It'll be admitted. Is this just going to be on the big screen and not on the small computers?
I'm sorry, Your Honor?
This just going to be on the big screen or all screens?
It's going to be on the big screen.
Y'all may have to move then, Mr. Holden.
If I may, stand in the
Yeah,
corner.
make yourself at home there. We might even drag you up the chair.
let me know, okay? Yes, sir. And everything, my name's Sheldon, okay, what's in it would be criminal investigation, division for officer PD. David Ryan Baker, all right, Ryan, we're working on the case involving, Mr. Jimmie. Also, goes by Jimmie, ever since it kind of started, okay? And I think you told us this, I really believe it. It's important to work with us, would you agree? So, we came over to your house, we asked you some questions, so we call contact with things, okay? So, those questions have led us to, bring you down here some additional questions. Yeah, is everybody come up here, so we have all the people down here, okay? We've already got you in here earlier today. Prove nothing, okay, nothing wrong. But, the one thing, I want you to try to remember this entire time, we treat everybody fair. If you say that we treat you fair, I don't think we did anything wrong, you did good. Okay? Really expect the same. Honesty, I want you to tell us everything, okay? We have a question. We have a lot of stuff we've done over the investigation that started. We got some stuff I can be able to tell you. Okay? All right. But we're going to share everything that we can that concerns you. Okay? And when you're answering these questions, I want you to be open and honest with us, okay? We want the truth. All right? If you tell 99.9% of the truth, what is it? Then still a lie. Okay? Tell a liar today. Okay? I told you out there at the apartment when we walked down the stairs, my goal is to bring you down here, and take this later interview, and get you out of here. Okay? It's still my goal, okay? But we need to ask questions, we need to figure out what happened. Understandable? Okay. You're seeing crime shows now?
Not really, I'm not in crime shows.
Another crime show, you've seen on TV where they, read people a constitutional warning, hey, you have to remain silent and all that. Okay. So anytime we bring somebody down here, Tim, like this morning or any other people, we want to make sure they understand the constitutional protections that are afforded to them. Do you agree? It's important, right? I mean, there were other things years ago. We need to make sure everybody understands. Okay? And we're going to be fair for you to tell you what they were. Okay? So what we're going to do here today is I'm going to go through the constitutional protections that are afforded to you. Once I'm done, Tim, you can do one of three things, okay? You can sign it, answer none of our questions, sign this form, answer some of our questions, or sign the form, answer all of our questions. Does that make sense to you, Tim? Okay. Nothing here to trip you up, trick you, or anything like that. We want to be open and honest with you. Fair, like I talked about at the beginning. I thought we were fair at the apartment. We have to do certain things for our day, Tim. Is that understandable? Do you agree? You feel like I'm sure there's so far? Okay. Have any questions about this? I want you to ask me, okay? Don't be afraid to ask me. We're going to put this together, okay? We're at the Oxford Police Department Criminal Investigation Division.
I'm gonna come down, if you have no objection, I think, I've never seen this, I think it's important for the court knows what's staying, and it's plenty loud, but that don't mean I can understand it. I'm gonna get closer because in case there's any objections. I want to be able to not have to replay it 2 or 3 times. I think the court knows what's being said. I'm asked to rule on things, so.
Do I need to turn it down?
Right up here in front of Lynn. I think I can hear a little better here. Thank you.
I'm trying to adjust it not only front but back.
I understand, and I'm hearing brrrr, and it's not your fault.
I think it's the air system that's in that building.
the second or third? Second, okay. I don't get all confused there. So, I'm not there. Says junior, okay. And what is your date of birth, Mr. Sheldon? I'm gonna make it. Okay. All right. What's your date of birth? March 5th. I'm gonna write that on the back, okay? March 10th. And what is your phone number?
I'm gonna ask that any feeds just, include, the statements as to dates of birth and phone numbers, okay?
Just go to,
Single, okay, any kids, no kids, okay, all right. So I said, I'm gonna read these constitution. Time right now is approximately 1:35 p.m., okay? All right, and before we ask any questions, you must understand your right, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer for advice, or ask any questions, and then you are with your questions. Not for a lawyer, one will be appointed for you for any questions you wish. If you decide to ask a lawyer, say the right to stop answering any time, don't say the right to stop answering any time until you talk to the lawyer. You understand this top part, Tim? Okay. Waiver right here at the bottom, Tim. I read the statement, all right, I understand what rights are, I want to make a statement, answer questions, I'm not a lawyer, I understand what I'm doing. No promise to imprison me, or pressure or force me, any kind of, it's pretty much what that means, we need to teach you. We ain't done anything cruel or unusual punishment to you. You understand, Tim? Okay. I understand anytime I can try this little right. You understand the bottom part, Tim? You understand the top part? Okay. Did they teach you how to sign in cursive at school when you were there? Okay. I'm going to hey, I believe today, and it's not sign in cursive, it's just print. That's perfect. I'm glad you can see it's all power, not. That's right. So, Tim, you understand the top part, the bottom part, signature line here, print line here, we'll sign with you, okay? We'll talk to us. All right, now I'm going to take Tim back, I'm going to sign it, and then we'll get Tim Baker to sign, okay? All right, Tim. So, when you your apartment, you told you kind of what we were investigating, gave you experience, say that, okay? And you know that was correct. And you told us that you know him from school already, okay? Talk kind of what we think you JD, knowing your friendship and all that. We were cool, so is it possible, Tim, once you told us that the apartment was not as accurate as my reality? I didn't think so, Tim, and that's the reason why.
all right. So, right here, the first question is about the nature of his relationship with Tim Herrington. You confronted him with what?
I wanted to better understand the relationship between Tim and Jay Lee, and Tim tells us it's a deeper relationship. So that led me, based on the previous interview at his apartment, to ask him, Tim, are you being honest with this, or is it the information you told us accurate? And he admitted it was not, which told me he lied about what he said at the apartment.
All right, and what did he tell you at the apartment, the nature of their relationship?
We had acquaintance. There were a few others that he mentioned in there. They were cool. They were students at one time together, I believe, but it wasn't a deeper relationship.
You understand that, Tim? I think it's important that we get that on the table. So it means you don't have a good understanding of what happened here, the whole picture. All right? And I can't tell you the story. Okay? When you walk out of here, Tim, out of this room, you can tell anybody anything you want. But in this room, you need to tell the truth. I think that's fair, don't you? Okay? So tell me about this deeper relationship you and Jimmy have. It was just like keep asking like that, I remember like talking about this one time. So I didn't have it like. On occasion, how many times have you and Jamie had sexual intercourse? I'm not sure. I guess.
Was that significant to you?
Absolutely. I think it shows a pattern of sexual activity between Tim Herrington and Jay. Again, goes away from what he said in the apartment about just being acquaintances.
And that was consistent with what you knew from the Snapchat messages?
It was consistent further in the investigation, but it was, yes.
The night you came over, did you have sexual relations that night? Yes, I did. Okay, talk me through this. What happened? And again, you walk out of here, you tell the thing home. I want the truth. The truth is we didn't have it. I'm fine with that. I'm fine. I worry about you guys. You guys don't take together. I worry about guys and girls. We have people sitting here, guys and the animals, okay? I did not care. So what happened when you come over to the apartment? We came over. What did that happen? In your apartment? How did you know Jimmie was coming over? How old was that? Okay, again, there, don't understand. How did you communicate with Jimmie? We talked over social media. What kind of? I remember like we talked like him. We talked. I know multiple platforms. Okay. That night you came over. What did y'all get to talk? I was really trying to remember. I don't remember. We don't talk about that. Okay. That's all. Not yet. Okay. Can you tell me what are some of the Snapchat handles you have? I didn't have like 2 or 3. You got, can you kind of tell me? I mean, you got a great name, right? Yes, sir. Okay, what are some of the ones you had? One has like my name, one has like my name, I don't have my name, it was like my nickname. What's your nickname? Red. Red? Yes, sir. Sure.
All right. You're talking about his handles. What does that mean?
Not well versed in Snapchat, but it's a name that the Snapchat user has, I believe.
If somebody has a nickname, instead of putting their real name, they often use a nickname for social media handle.
Absolutely, you don't like he says right there. He's got some real name, and then he uses his nickname as well, and his nickname was Red.
All right. And the handle in the Snapchat messaging with Jay Lee that Ben Douglas, when he accessed that Snapchat account, the relevant messages were from who?
Red Eye
Red Eye.
24.
So it's just red or is it red or something else? It's like red. I don't really like remember the name, the name. It's red, but I'm saying like I know what you actually. I know you should say it. Yeah, I don't remember like actually like I know like you know you got the name and it's like Jamie.
Now, your response there was, Tim, you just said it.
You just said it.
What are you referring to?
He just said Red Eye.
All right. Can you explain that you heard Red Eye right there?
Mm-hmm.
All right, explain that to the jury.
So when he says Red Eye, and then he emphasized really strong at the end, trying not to say it, and it's what I figured when I was in the interview. He says Red Eye, and then he emphasizes the eye part of it at the end to then move forward with his statement.
Yeah, I don't know about actually, like him. Yeah, about when he was like, about his name. What's your name? Oh, Red. Red? Sure, so Red, is it, so it's just Red or is it Red or something else? It's like Red, I don't really like remember the name, get the name, he's Red, but I'm saying like, I don't mind.
Is that what you were talking about?
Yes, sir.
He could have been saying red but you heard red eye,
And then he emphasized the I at the end.
almost as if he was catching himself.
Yes, sir.
I know, you should say it. Yeah, I don't know about actually, like him, like names and like. Really, he gave you oral sex, you gave him oral sex. He gave me oral sex. Okay.
Okay. He talks a little bit more in detail about their interaction. And then, before we get into that, going back to the handles that he used for social media, he was using that handle on what day?
July the 8th,
You know that
2022.
from the records?
Yes.
For a fact.
Yes, sir.
And then here, on July 22nd, he indicates that he can't remember what he was using? Is that
Yes, sir.
correct?
That's what he says.
So, during the start of the investigation,
Now, comparing that statement with the interview at his apartment, was anything significant there?
Absolutely. So at the apartment, he says, Jay Lee comes over, gives me a gift. We talked for a little bit and left. And this interview here, he says, Jay Lee came over, gave me oral sex. We talked for a little bit and we left. He's saying the same thing.
all right, like he said, let's get the police involved already. They put out what they call tip line. You know what I'm talking about? You can call them, hey, I think I called Jay Lee, people that left.
All right, now then, at this point, in the investigation, you don't have any records that indicate whether he would have been aware of any of the information made public requesting tips from UPD or OPD.
I don't know that he's aware of it. All I know is there were multiple press releases put out and shared over multiple platforms of social media.
And you're talking about that here because of what? What are you about to?
Because of the tip that came in from Mr. Khalid Fierce.
And do you recall, if you know, you know, if you don't, you don't, what day that tip came in?
No, sir.
Was it soon after July 8th?
Oh, yes, sir.
Alabama. You know what I mean? People are calling me tips. One of the tips that come in was interesting. Jay Lee, when he left his apartment, was talking to somebody. That person called in. Okay? That person said, told Jay Lee, told that person, hey, I'm going to meet somebody. Okay? And I'm going back over to their place. All right? So he's riding with Jay Lee, so they're able to see where he goes. And then Jay Lee comes to Snapchat, okay? All right, you follow? Right. Okay. So, that was a good tip, okay? So I want to ask you again, okay? When Jay Lee left, okay, this was in the morning of July 8th. You understand? Okay, Jay Lee leaves your apartment. Does Jay Lee come back? Okay, that's true. Okay? All right. And then what happens when Jay Lee comes back? He comes back and then I can do the same. I make sure it's done. Oh, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I'm sorry.
Now, the tip that you shared some information in here, did you share that he had said anything about an argument? right there on the video, or do you need me to back it up?
I don't recall if I said anything about an argument at that time.
Okay. And then right here, when he talks about, you're talking about what?
Oh, Jay Lee going back to the apartment.
Leading him all over the place to having a conversation, suppositions, things of that nature.
Let me hear your question again.
What is the topic of conversation right here important to you?
The topic of conversation is whether Jay Lee went back to see Tim Herrington.
And what was his response?
He does.
And what does he say about what Tim Herrington does when Jay Lee comes back?
He gives him oral sex.
All right. Jimmie, can you play that back 5 seconds? Good to know.
Understand? Jay leaves the apartment. Jay come back. Okay, that's true. Okay? Alright. And what happens when Jay comes back? He comes back and then I can do the same. I got stuff
What was the exact words he used?
I made it up to him.
All right. Did you talk to him about an argument or anything?
Not at this time.
Oh, tell me the second to that. He left, how did he leave? He was cool, like he was just like, he thought I was going to do, because I didn't try to do it. You don't hear one? I don't, I was like, I thought kind of, you were kind of reciprocating the performance you gave earlier. So when that guy called in, and this is the only thing I think is where you can tell me, it's accurate, right? When I came over, he told the guy calling the tips, Jay Lee had told him that he was going back over to see the guy. He didn't say his name, okay? The guy was going to do something that he's never done before. So is that what he's talking about? You give me one second. He also said that the guy, and you help me out there, you all want to kind of know, okay, we're still digging, but it's better to come straight up there. That I think Jay Lee, and now did he block you on Snapchat, or did you block him in reality? No, you blocked him. You said something about.
All right. You were talking about information that you had from fears.
Yes.
And that was in regard to the Snapchat conversation.
Yes.
All right. What he says here about being blocked by Jay Lee, was that consistent with what you found later in the digital records from the phones?
Yes, we did find that Jay Lee did block Tim Herrington, and Tim Herrington reconnected with Jay Lee through another Snap name.
Yeah, there was an argument. What's the argument about? No, he was just saying I told him that I'm not really like sure. I really like the work he got. Because he was upset because he wasn't going to do any more, or if he did any more. I told him that and I have a chance to you read it. You don't do it yet. And he blocks you on Snapchat. So how did you read the things with you? That's why I had like the other stuff. You had to create another, or you already had one? I had another. Okay. And you reached out to him on which one that time? I know I was on a different platform, like a different Snapchat. And I don't remember which one. And he come over come over, you want to go say something on, where was that at? In your apartment. Which room, there's three rooms, there's the living area and the two bedrooms, which room was that in? Which one? The one the door you shut, the one straight past that wall, right? Past the laundry room. It's that's the bedroom that you stay in, you stay in the other one. Okay, so it's just up to you, right? So, Jay Lee comes over, you perform all the steps on him, what happens?
We haven't talked about him. He had something to do with like a baby or something. He was like, he like, there or something.
This is early morning hours. So where did he, what happened?
Then he like, he said, he had to do something like, or something. And he just like,
All right, so the topic here is what happened after Jay Lee came back to Tim Harrington's apartment, correct?
Yes, and then with Tim Harrington giving Jay Lee oral sex.
All right, and had you given any information to Tim Harrington about what type of job Jay Lee was, at the time, in July of 2022, involved in?
No, we did not.
All right, and what did he say about Jay Lee?
He said Jay Lee had some kind of, I believe, baby thing he had to go do, and then he may have had something, he left and may have had to go do something with his job or an internship.
Now, later on, you found out that Jay Lee was actually doing an internship program with CPS, or what we think you and I have always referred to as DHS.
Yes.
Child Protection Service.
So how did he leave him?
I was cool, like, we just, you know, I'm
How did he leave him? So he left the apartment walking. How did he walk out of the complex? Did he leave his car?
Now, earlier, he talked about making it up to Tim Harrington. And then, when you're asking him about how did he leave, was his response there have any significance to you?
Oh, absolutely. If he would have told us that Jay Lee went down to his car and left, that would have been very significant to us. But he had trouble formulating an answer on how he left.
And back that up.
How did he leave him? So he left the apartment walking. How did he walk out of the complex? Did he leave in his car? He was in his car all the way through. How do you feel about that? So he leaves after you give him all this. And do you have any contact with him from that point forward? And six times? Did you have physical sex with him on the shoulder? After he leaves, did you reach back out to him? The phone's going off, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, I'm sure they're going all over there, you know, Twitter. I don't know, they back like Grindr, did you reach back out to him in any other, on any platform where we had text message shows on?
I don't know. if I redo this, trying to see.
Now, at that, after July 8th, morning hours, I represent to you that there's already been proof that Jay Lee's social media activity, cell phone activity goes south.
Yes, sir.
Were you able to later learn whether Tim Herrington ever tried to reach out through social media to Jay Lee after the early morning hours of July 8th, 2022?
We could not find any record of Tim Herrington attempting to contact Jay Lee, but what we did find in the subsequent investigation was he put in Jay Lee and kept searching the name multiple days after July 8th.
Did you leave the apartment after Jay left? Did you go anywhere? Yes, sir. What'd you do? I don't know everything was Walmart. Okay, what'd you do at Walmart? But I had a woman company called it. Hey, it was more like I had got like tape and stuff like this. Tape, what you got? I had about like some food and stuff too. Like she's already done or what I had, yes, like I had a move and I so the tape for the box and stuff like that.
Awesome. Now then, right there, you're talking to him about what he did after Jay Lee left the apartment, and he responded with he was going to Walmart. And did he indicate what he bought at Walmart?
Yes, tape and some food, I believe.
All right. Now I'm going to hand you what State's Exhibit 50. Have you seen that receipt before?
Yes, sir, I have.
And what is that receipt?
This is a receipt from Walmart for duct tape. Item sold, 1.
All right, no food. It was just duct tape, right?
Yes, sir.
And I believe he said tape. He didn't say duct tape, right?
He says tape. Yes, sir.
All right. Now, were you able to observe footage of Tim Herrington at the Walmart?
Yes, sir, I was.
And were you able to establish the time of day on July 8th, 2022 that Tim Herrington was at the Walmart?
Yes, we were, and then we also were able to obtain the receipt. July the 8th, 6:49 was when he checked out at Walmart.
What number is it? You ready? All right, we're gonna display on your screen,
Okay.
on the podium system, Exhibit 49.
Got a video?
Yes, sir. It's already been received.
Great. I don't mind.
Now, as sometimes happens, the video system at Walmart, as far as recording the timestamp, was it working properly?
No, it wasn't.
All right, but you do have the receipt. All right, it is consistent.
646.
Okay. When you reviewed it, the legacy software system is now working properly. And the time on the receipt, if you don't mind, hit document. July 2022, 6:49.
Yes.
That's Walmart. All right, so do you have the, on this exhibit, the car driving in? It's a different photo.
It's not gonna be on there. They go down. I just have to go through and see.
Okay.
See, rooftop, it may be this one here.
All right. Do you see the image displayed on your screen?
See a barcode.
That?
Hold on a second. All right.
There we go. What about now?
I see rooftop Walmart parking lot.
All right. And if you could, why was this camera angle important to the investigation?
Because it shows Tim Harrington's vehicle coming into the parking lot.
All right, and what kind of vehicle was Tim Herrington driving at this point?
White Ford Escape.
So we're looking for a white Ford Escape?
Yes, sir.
All right, let us know as we play the video when you see that vehicle.
At this time, that's the vehicle coming in to the, going down the road to the parking spot right here. Beside a white car, appears to be near a buggy, where you put the buggies back.
All right. And who is that? Were you able to identify who that is getting out of the vehicle?
Timothy Harrington.
Now, prior to Tim Harrington checking out, where we have the receipt with the timestamp and date stamp on it, was there, just describe for the jury what Tim Harrington did while he was in Walmart.
So Tim Harrington goes in Walmart. I don't recall if he went and picked up the duct tape first or second. But while he's at Walmart, he goes and looks at, I don't know what the gallon size is, but large garbage cans. And he starts looking, these garbage cans would be ones that are in front of a residential home and would be picked up by a garbage truck. Large garbage cans. He's looking at it, examining the garbage can, even brings an associate over to talk about the garbage can, it appears in the video. And then he moved after looking at those, he moves and goes up front and pays for his duct tape.
It's fine, Matt.
I don't mean to interject, but we kind of got some stuff that's starting to stream over here on the big screen.
Yeah, we got.
A little distraction.
After so long, automatically reverts back.
Yeah, full screen, yeah. Go to the garbage can section.
Yeah.
This is it. There's the garbage can.
Okay. Do you see that image displayed on
Yes,
your
sir.
screen? All right, and in that aisle, can you identify the location on your screen where the garbage cans are?
The bottom of the video says AA Electric to TLE Corner, and you can see the garbage cans in the video right beside where it looks like there's a set of double doors.
All right, and as we were playing it, an individual with a white shirt walked into frame at the top middle of the screen.
Yes,
Were you able to identify who that was?
yes, that's Timothy Herrington.
All right, let's play it up. All right, pause it there. All right, let's go to here. And then after that, contained on that video exhibit, one of the files on there shows Tim Herrington checking out with the
Yes, sir.
duct tape, correct?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm sorry. If I can have this marked for ID. Angie was been marked as Exhibit 59 for ID. Do you recognize that image?
Yes.
Does that image accurately depict a still shot from where Tim Herrington is checking out from Walmart in the early morning hours of July the 8th, 2022?
Yes, that's Tim Herrington buying a roll of duct tape.
Your Honor, state would ask this to be received into evidence.
Objection.
Okay, other than previously.
It'll be admitted.
Go back later.
You got We got the Santa Claus playing on the screen there anyway. If y'all bear with me, I'm gonna come back that way, because I can hear.
All right. Back it up 10 seconds. I believe at this spot in the interview with Tim Herrington at CID, going back to, is that exhibit 56? On exhibit 58 now, for the record. Does he talk a little bit about the business that he has with Tyson King?
He doesn't reference Tyson King specifically, but he does talk about a moving business.
All right, and does he say anything about whether he has anything to do that day involving the moving company?
He does make reference that he had a move later that day.
All right, and let's play that. Now, were you able to later, as part of your investigation, find out anything about the accuracy of that statement?
Yes, we were able to talk to Tyson King, and Tyson King kept a notes, calendar notes of their the jobs that they did, and July 8th was not listed as having a job that day.
All right. Did he ever indicate in the interview what kind of tape he normally uses in the moving company business?
He references the tape. I'm trying to recall. I think he refers to it as clear tape, but it could have been something I said to him as well.
Okay. So, to be fair, he didn't say duct tape.
I think he was specifically asked about duct tape, and I don't think he says one way or the other. I don't.
Now then,
How did you purchase your house at Walmart? Cash, vehicle? I moved with my credit card. No bill, take it Walmart. Camera. Yes, sir. Okay. People, duct tape or tape that you don't have to tape? Yeah, we use like the big clear tape you wrap around it? Yeah, we have it. I can't get it. It's like the stuff that you wrap around my. Did you know what happened?
did he describe the tape in more specificity there?
It's the tape that you wrap around boxes.
It was that one, clean up, like, right around, it was that one. Yeah, did you drive your car over Walmart? Yeah, I drove out.
You're still talking about Walmart. You saw the video portion where he's examining the garbage can. Now, do you know anything about the Vet Place apartments and whether there's any necessity to have that style? I think you were referencing that earlier.
Yeah, the style that Tim was looking at Walmart was for residential use. Tim lives in an apartment complex at the time, Lafayette Place, and outside of his building was a large trash compactor that he could put his trash into. There was no reason to have a garbage can.
Did you go anywhere else that morning? Did you go to a job somewhere early that night? Did you go anywhere else? No, not earlier. Not earlier. So after Jay Lee left, the only place you went to was Walmart? Yeah, Mark was there.
So at this point, after Jay Lee left, he said he goes to Walmart and he didn't go anywhere else. Were you able to find whether that statement was accurate or not?
No, we were, and it was not accurate. He did go somewhere else.
All right. John? If I could have this mark for ID. Station. 59
Was
the,
a Walmart checkout or checkout to Walmart? Okay. All right, I got it. I don't need it. I just make sure my.
all right. I'm going to hand you Exhibit 60. It's contained in an envelope. Do you recognize that?
I do.
All right, what is it?
The video from the Chevron, oftentimes referred to as Kokomo Chevron at Jackson Avenue in West Oxford Loop.
All right, have you reviewed the contents of that video?
Yes, sir, I have.
Do they accurately depict video surveillance from the morning of July the 8th, 2022?
Yes, sir.
They would ask that this be received.
Just for 1 second, I want to make sure I'm not waiving the other objections I had off of this.
All right, if you don't mind, how did you obtain this video? Where did you obtain the video?
We obtained this video from Kokomo Chevron, which is at the intersection of Jackson Avenue and West Oxford Loop, located in Lafayette County.
And what time frame were you looking for?
We were looking from 6:49 a.m. until.
And now, at that time, you had Tim Herrington's car coming into Walmart.
Yes.
Were you looking at that location to see whether that car went by?
Leading questions, I mean, just
Rephrase your question.
So you were looking for a time frame. Were you looking for a specific car?
Absolutely. We knew Tim Herrington was buying duct tape in Walmart, so we wanted to know once he left Walmart, which way he went. Did he go back towards Lafayette Place down Jackson Avenue to the east, or did he go to the west? So that was very important for us to distinguish because we wanted to know where to go next.
went down to that station and looked at that time frame, looking for that vehicle.
We were looking for Tim Harrington's white Ford Escape.
All right, and were you able to verify that the time of that surveillance was accurate?
Yes, sir, we were.
All right. Your Honor, at this time, the state would ask that it be received into evidence.
Same objection. I'm gonna find the suspicion indicative of liability, to allow this in without authenticating witness. 60 will be admitted.
Permission to publish. May I publish?
Yes, yes.
All right, we're going to try to cue it up to the 6:51 a.m. spot.
You got a long way to go at that rate.
Keeps going back.
Yeah, it's in there. Is there another video?
What's the other time on that thing?
6:57.
Yeah, see, it's already passed at that time.
Close up. I'm trying to smart player.
I guess just, associated with.
The 6:51 mark. See the white vehicle that Tim here.
Yes, we were able to see the white Ford Escape go by.
You'll be contained on that video
Yes,
at the 6:51 mark.
yes.
All right, and then after that, were you able to identify another vehicle associated with Tim Harrington?
Yes, at 6:57, Tim Herrington and his business partner, Tyson King's box truck, comes back down Jackson Avenue.
And I believe S-52 has already been received into evidence, has it not? Already received into evidence.
52,
Yes, sir.
has been admitted. Picture of box truck driving in front of gas station.
Do you recognize that exhibit, Exhibit 52?
Yeah, that right there is Tim Herrington and his business partner, Tyson King's box truck.
Okay. All right. And in the video at the 6:57 mark, were you able to identify Tim Herrington or not?
Say it one more time.
On the video, were you able to identify Tim Herrington in that box truck?
Yeah, Tim Herrington went to his white Ford Escape, goes by, leaving Walmart, and then he comes back by in the box truck.
All right. And in the image, were you able to see him?
Yes.
What was the question? Was he able to identify Tim Herrington in the box truck driving by the Kokomo Chevron
Yes.
on Jackson and Oxford? So, all right, we're at the 6:49 mark on the video being projected on your screen. Exhibit 60. Do you see that on your screen?
Yes.
All right, you see the activity at the gas station?
Yes, a red car just pulled in to a gas pump, and a white van with something wrote on it is backing up from a gas pump.
Here we're looking for the 6:51 mark.
Yes, sir.
And what are we going to see?
You'll see a Tim Herrington in his white Ford Escape traveling westbound on Jackson Avenue.
Is there going to be left to right on the screen or right to left?
Left to right.
We're at 6:51. If you will, just alert us when you see that here.
There it goes right there, passing West Oxford Loop and the gas station.
All right, the same car that pulled into Walmart.
Yes, where,
What did you say about the vehicle that passed by? Speak up if you don't.
oh, the vehicle's passing by the gas station right now. It's in between, if you're looking at the image the way it's paused on the video right now, it's in between pump 2 and pump 4.
Is that the same vehicle that minutes earlier pulled into the Walmart parking lot?
Yes, and left Walmart parking lot driven by Timothy Herrington.
All right. Now, as this plays forward, if you go to the 6:57 mark, all right, where is the Lynx apartment?
The Lynx Apartments, you continue driving west on Jackson Avenue, and then you hit an off-ramp, and the off-ramp's going to put you on what's known as two different, US 278 or Highway 6 is often referred to, and you're going to go west toward Batesville. So you're going to pass a gas station in between two gas stations. There's Crystals there. And it's out there, it's a apartment complex on the left-hand side of the road, approximately a mile from this location, maybe a little further.
All right, and if Tyson King keep the box truck at that location?
Tyson keep the truck at that location. He lived at the Links Apartments.
All right, so 7 minutes later on this video, you see the box truck drive by that video surveillance camera?
Yes, the box truck will be coming by going eastbound on Jackson Avenue.
All right, so, all right, can you cue it up? All right, cue it up. Now, if Tim Herrington drove to pick up that box truck at the Links and got in the truck and drove back by, without any kind of delays in between, with the time frame when we see his car there headed that way, that direction, be consistent with him driving back in the box truck?
Absolutely. If he went straight to the Links and got the box truck turn and came back, yes, sir, it would.
In that direction, is that heading back?
That direction is heading back down Jackson Avenue, and you can get to Lafayette Place that way.
All right, and from the screen that you're looking at, is the box truck going to be coming from right to left?
Right to left, yes. If you'll pause it there, you can actually see it coming off of Highway 6. It's in between the pole and it's in between the poles, right above the sign for gas pump 7. If you look directly up from that, you'll see the box truck in the image there.
All right. Display it.
The box truck then makes a left-hand turn, traveling eastbound on Jackson Avenue, and it'll be coming in front of Kokomo Chevron at this time.
Now, when you say you could identify Tim Herrington, you're talking about seeing his car leave and his box truck drive by.
Yes.
Well, tell him what he's talking about. Let him just ask a question. Clear process.
I'll sustain the objection, rephrase the question.
As part of your investigation, who are the only two people that had keys to that box truck?
Timothy Herrington and Tyson King.
Did they have as part of the investigation, whether they had any kind of job to do that day?
No, they did not have a job to do that day, according to Tyson King.
All right. Let's go back.
Thank you.
Everybody good on the jury? Let me know when you need a break, okay?
30-minute, 50-second mark.
Isn't that? Like, runner, work out all the time? Yes, I do go run, so. You go run that one? Yes, sir. You go run? I'm gonna run around like high and I get in like high. Yeah, like the Highland and the airport, like that, all the days. Yeah. On my car. You ran over there? Yeah. How did you know what route you take? I took like runner workout. And I do go run, so. You want more? Yeah, I go. Did you go anywhere else that morning? Did you go do a job somewhere early that morning? Did you go anywhere else? No, not early. Not earlier. So after Jay left, the only place you went to was Walmart? Yeah, Walmart. Isn't that? Like runner workout all the time? Yes, I do go run, so. You go run that one? Yes, sir. You go run? I'm gonna run around like Highland, like that, like Highland? Yeah, like the Highland and the airport, like that, all the days. Yeah. On my car. You ran over there? Yes, sir. How did you know what route you take? I took like, that way from, Lafayette or something, like that. How long did that run usually take you? I'm not sure, it's just about burnout. Like a burnout? So you ran from Lafayette Place, I guess down Anchorage Road? Or did you go down Jackson Avenue? No, I was down. Yeah, so like old cars and all that, and went by the airport. Right. And then where did you turn around at? I went to like Holland, Washington. I went to like Holland. I used to work out, I wrote production in Holland. I used to do like cardio and stuff like that. Started every morning. So did you run all the way over to Island and all the way back to that place? No, sir, I had about 3 that like I was running out of the end on the side. So usually, I used to I have to do like ride. What's that friend? I honestly don't know, didn't know how to put it, I don't even know if it was music friend, but I drove myself.
Now, you talked to him about whether he went anywhere, and he indicated that he had not.
Sure.
What did he say about working out that day?
He said he did go for a run. If I asked him if he's a runner and asked him if he ran that day, he said he did go for a run that morning.
Okay. Now we know that you've got a time frame from the Kokomo gas station.
Yes, sir.
His car at 6:51, box truck 6:57, correct?
Yes.
Now, the run would have been after that.
Yes.
According to his statement in the interview.
Yes, yes, true. And he's at Molly Bar Trails running out at 7:34.
All right, so you've got video of him pulling out of Molly Bar Trail, running out of Molly Bar.
Running
Trails.
out.
At what time?
7:34 a.m.
7:34. All right. So now were you able to take the locations that he mentioned as far as the route that he took on his run and prepare a map?
Yes, we were. We were able to go. The route he said he took was the back way, he called it. So for him to get from Lafayette Place over there, He said he went the back way, which I described as being Anchorage Road, coming out of Old Sardis, going up by the airport, which would have took him down to Old Sardis to McElroy, and then around McElroy to Molly Bar Road, which now we're at the intersection of Molly Bar Road is Rockets gas station. So then he would have took a left on Molly Bar Road, went up.
Go ahead.
All right, if I could have this marked for ID.
All right, you mark for ID.
All right, so you're very familiar with Oxford area, correct?
Yes, I am. I've lived here roughly 12 to 14 years.
And during that 12, 14 years, you've been a police officer, investigator, and now you're charged with
Emergency management.
emergency management, responding
Yes.
to disasters. Do y'all use a certain type of map system for this area?
So the one that I primarily use is called NearMap. I was able to obtain access to that. The city of Oxford has it, and what happens is it's a aerial imagery where we're able to view the city of Oxford. It doesn't let us go to any other jurisdictions that aren't connected with NearMap. And the aerial imagery, what happens is every January, an airplane flies over and takes digital imagery for us, and we use it for planning purposes, emergency management related things, anytime any maps or imagery is needed.
All right, and I'm going to hand you what's been marked for ID as Exhibit 61. Do you recognize that as a map here? In light of the route that he described, he took that morning.
Yes, this depicts the route that Timothy Herrington told me he took that morning.
All right, Your Honor, the state would ask if you received that.
All right, be admitted.
All right. So, were you able to calculate how far it is from Lafayette Place Apartments, Tim Harrington's apartment, over to Highland Square, which he talked about on his and him coming back to Rockets, where we see that on the video where he gets in the car with his iPod. The total distance.
It's approximately 7.2 miles.
All right, 7.2 miles. Were you able to calculate how fast you would have to run if you were going to make that route from 6:57 a.m. to 7:34 a.m.?
So a couple times that are important here. You got the white Ford Escape going by Kokomo Chevron, driven by Timothy Harrington at 6:51 a.m. You got the box truck coming back by, driven by Timothy Harrington at 6:57 a.m. The approximate distance from Kokomo Chevron back to Lafayette Place on Jackson Avenue is 1.5 miles, approximately 5 minutes to get from Kokomo Chevron to Lafayette Place. That would put him back at Lafayette Place at approximately 7:02 a.m. If he got out of his vehicle and started running at that point, when he's next seen on video at Molly Bar Trails is 7:34. That is only 32 minutes. And if he's trying to make a distance of 7.2 miles when he's seen at Molly Bar Trails, he'd have to average per mile 4 minutes and 44 seconds.
So 7.2 at a 4-minute mile.
He's got to do sub 5 per mile So approximately 4 minutes and 44 seconds per mile to make it from Lafayette Place to when he's seen on video at Molly Bar Trails exiting at 7:34 a.m.
All right, now then, we, OPD secured footage from rockets
Yes.
that we've talked about at length with Tim Herrington getting into the vehicle with Keziah Clark, correct?
Yes.
And in that roadway that we see from that camera perspective, the road directly out front is Molly Bar Road.
Yes.
All right, then to the side, what road is that?
It's McElroy.
McElroy Drive?
McElroy Drive.
And is that the route he would have had to have taken to get to Highland Square?
Yes, if you'll allow me. He's going to go down Lafayette Place, and he's going to come around Anchorage Road, which then turns into Old Sardis Road. And then he's going to go all the way down Old Sardis Road till he gets to McElroy Drive, come up through here, which he refers to the airport when he's talking to us and saying he ran by the airport. That's the airport right there. He's going to then get to down to Rockets on the run he told us. And he's going to turn left on Molly Bar Road, go around a curve, go past Molly Bar Trails where he was seen running out at 7:34 and Jay Lee's car was seen coming into, go up to Highland Square, turn around and come back, and that's the route he told us.
And you know he had to turn around and come back from Highland Square because you see him on video at Rockets,
Yes.
getting into the car with Keziah Clark.
Yes.
Now, can you tell me about the video surveillance at Rockets, whether you can see traffic on McElroy Drive as well?
Yes. So Rockets has the way the cameras are set up, you can see people coming down McElroy Drive from the side of the business down to the intersection, and then in front of Rockets on Molly Bar Road coming up to the intersection.
Did Oxford Police Department investigators, including you, look for anybody that matched the description of Tim Herrington that morning jogging down McElroy Road?
Yes. We looked for video well before on the times. We looked well before 7 a.m. and I believe well before 6 a.m. to see if we see Timothy Herrington run by Rockets, and we never see Timothy Herrington run by on McElroy or Molly Bar Road.
And according to him on his interview, if what he said was accurate, you would have seen him running by Rockets on McElroy Road.
We would have seen him come by McElroy Drive and then take a left at that intersection and start making his way jogging up a hill or running up a hill.
And if he had made a 7.2 mile run at 4 minute and 44 second pace and make it to Rockets to get in the car with Keziah Carter, would he have a light sweat?
He'd probably be panting pretty hard and have a heavy sweat.
And do you know what he was wearing at the time he got into the car with Keziah Carter?
He was wearing a sweatshirt.
Was the hood up or down? Do you know?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Was the hood up or down?
The hood was up.
Fifth Place apartment, Molly Bar Trails, where Jay Lee's car was found. Campus Walk Apartments, where Jay Lee's car was.
Yes.
The last, well, on July 8th, 2022, where Jay Lee's phone goes silent. Was all that in Lafayette County,
Yes.
state of Mississippi?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the person that you interviewed at Tim Harris, and later at CID in the interview room, that you've identified as Tim Harrington, is he in the room today?
Yes, he's sitting right there beside his attorney, Kevin Moran, wearing a blue suit.
Let the record reflect that the witnesses identified the defendant.
Record so reflect.
Your Honor, if I could, I'm going to not replay, but play just a little bit further on that.
You know what the course instructions are anyway.
I do.
I usually do like cardio and try to be very long. So did you run all the way over the island and all the way back to Cleveland? No, sir. I had a lot of friends that I was right out and I was usually I actually do like a ride. What's that friend's name? I honestly don't know. This is what I'm saying. I don't even know if it was mutual friends, so I can tell you, it's basically, I don't know, I know him, but I don't know his name. I went a friend in small words, when I was raised, so that time I was taught language,
All right. So, was that significant to you?
Yes, he's describing where he runs out of Molly Bar Trails, goes down to Rockets, and sees Keziah Carter and flags him down.
Okay. Did he identify the name of the person?
No, sir.
He didn't tell you his name, did he?
No, sir.
All right. Now then, can you see Exhibit 20 projected on
Yes.
your monitor?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to just put in your hand Exhibit 61.
Okay.
Okay. It gets picked up by Keziah Carter 2 weeks earlier, July the 8th, from the time that he's giving you this interview,
Yes.
right? But he can't tell you the name of that person.
No, sir.
Okay. And then when he's telling you the route that he took, can you compare that to the route that is represented in S20 that was provided and admitted into court under prior testimony that tracks Jay Lee's car from Death Place to Mollygar Trails. Is anything about comparing those two significant to you about why Tim Herrington told you he made the route that he did that morning? Right?
Oh, yes, he did not want me to know. He went on Jackson Avenue. But the most significant part about this is both routes, the way Jay Lee's car goes and the way Tim Herrington described his run, both of them are passing rockets. Only one came by the car. Tim didn't come by running.
Tim's a witness, Sheldon.
All right. How long y'all been out there? A while? Let's take a break. 4:18. Y'all step back and I'll tell you what we're going to do. Remember court's instructions don't investigate, talk about, or form any opinion. Ms. Tolan.
This is on the record.